Hello everyone, this is Josh Vision, and I'm here to give my Season 1, Episode 1 review of Daybreak. So, we meet the main character, Josh Wheeler, and Josh was basically a C student, which stands for crappy, which he, goes in great length to describe how he's really, kind of lost in the shuffle when he was in high school. And now since basically the majority of the population of California is basically dead, or at least, lost, since the explosion, he actually means like he actually is someone. He's actually a somebody. We see him going through house to house, basically getting like every kind of type of food or clothes, etc. that he wants. He talks about the various tribes throughout, Cali essentially, and how you got one of the tribes being the Cali tribe and the Jock tribe. And speaking of the Jock tribe, their leader is Turbo. And Turbo has this weird mask, like a half and half mask, in which the side of his face, which is visibly scarred, is seen. The other side is kind of kept in the dark, essentially. And Turbo's like, I guess you call her his right woman person, essentially, in which she's like second command everybody, and she's mean as hell, like, and scary. Also in this episode, it's established that Josh really wants to find the love of his life, Sam Dean, I believe, or Sam D, something along the lines. And through flashbacks, we see the relationship, how she helps him once he first moves from Canada to Cali, and their friendship really starts to evolve, so on and so forth. That everyone, despite the different cliques and, in the school, likes and respects her. Also in this episode, we meet Angelica, who's a genius, and also seems to be a very amoral kind of person, which Josh describes her as being since he was babysitting her, at least 6 months before the current events, of the show. We also meet Wesley, and Wesley was actually a famous. Well, he was the top, football, guy on their football team, and was established the fact that Wesley used to be an absolute a-hole towards Josh. There was a conversation, I believe, in which Wesley was speaking with some guy named Jason Doyle, I believe, which was part of his football team, and they were talking about which is more, lethal, a sword or a gun. And Wesley was using the example of, once the bullets get out that gun, all I gotta do is just cut you in half with accurate precision. I just gotta wait, juck and jive, basically, until you run the bullets and you're done. So he was asking Josh, and Josh didn't really know. And then Wesley did something to him that knocked to the ground in front of everybody, embarrassing him. In this episode, I believe we have this scene in which Wesley, Angelica, and Josh come together, and they're trying to run away essentially from Turbo and his people. And as I mentioned earlier, Turbo has like a kind of deformity on at least his right side or his or left side of his face, and he runs the Jocks essentially. He's the leader, he's the Don of everyone, and his second command is a really feisty woman who scares the freaking hell out of me. She's so angry and mean and vicious, so you could tell she's a killer. There was one point, in this episode in which I believe Turbo wanted some entertainment, so he had a band play for him, but the singer sucked. He was horrible, garbage, trash, and he pulled the lever, I believe, and that dude was basically in a pit full of people wanting to kill him. He was able to escape, and then he sees Turbo with some type of bazooka. He tried to outrun it. You can't outrun a bazooka, and done. Fini. Gone. So after this, there's this scene, and it kind of connects actually, because before this happens, Josh meets the another subgroup of the Jocks, the golf guys, which is like 5 of them or so. So Josh accidentally cuts, like he had a katana which he took from the stores early in the episode, and he actually gets the blade stuck in the guy's hand. So Josh says, "Listen, if you let Sam D go, I'll basically take the blade out of your hand and, save you, essentially. Or at least give enough time for your friends to find some antibiotics, to save you." Josh is under the impression that his love, Sam D, was actually in the box. It turns out that it was actually Angelica, like the one I mentioned before, who he was babysitting at least 6 months before the current events of the timeline. So, anywho, with Josh, Wesley, and Angie, Angela, or Angelica coming together, they go to Josh's old apartment where he used to live, the Cove, essentially. And what's established the fact that the note, whatever, because in the beginning of the episode, Josh has this note, and it has "Where are you?" And I was wondering what was the point of that note. It had to be something significant or one of his family members. But it connects to Sam D apparently because that's what the last thing she wrote to him before the explosion had occurred. So before I get to that, we have this really interesting conversation with Josh, Angelica, and Wesley are trying to figure out what else to do. Josh just wants to remain solo as he's been for the past 6 months. Fine Angelica. Fine Sam D. But Angelica's like, listen, it makes more sense for us to be together. There are tribes and cliques outside. It's a group, it's better for us to be together and try to gain some more people, and having a better chance to survive compared to just going solo. And Wellesley agreed while he was smoking his weed. But Josh's like, listen, I got to do this solo, so on and so forth, whatever. Before Josh leaves, actually, we see Turbo and his people literally outside of Josh's apartment. Now, the reason why this happened was due to the fact that the people who Josh ran into, the golf clique, the nerdy kind of jocks, whatever, they set off a signal letting Turbo and his scary, second command lady know that Josh Wheeler, some other people were basically in the vicinity. And for some reason, Turbo has a beef with Josh. I'm trying to figure out what is the reason why. Like, why? Did he take his girl or something? Did Turbo like Sam D? Like, what's the deal? But anywho, they're outside the apartment, and Josh, Angelica, and Wesley comes up with a plan. They're throwing some crap at them. I don't even know what it is, but they were throwing at him, and it was working. It was working like magic. So Josh, Wesley, and God, Angelica make their way to the mall. And once they're outside the mall, they get cornered by this mysterious person on a bike. Now, they call this person the Triumph. Now, apparently the Triumph is known for being one of the worst savage killers, like, in Cali for the past 6 months since this whole bombing / apocalyptic thing, has happened. So, we basically end the episode on, what's the word? Cliffhanger. So that's all I got, you guys. If I missed anything, write some comments down below. I'd like to talk to you guys, about these little things in the show, etc., etc. Adios. Have a good one.